Thank you, Henry. I'd now like to call on Nigel Howard, who's It's great to see so many people here who support what our cause is here today. Do you know that there are still companies, there are not companies that continue to make TTYs. They're an antiquated technology. We've moved on to new technology. There's no need to go back to something like this. If we do, we don't even have people who can repair this type of technology. There's no services available. I'm now going to provide a quote from CRTC and then give a brief presentation about it. The TELUS trial was established under the auspices of CRTC in 2010. It was on a trial basis only, and it was determined that it was only going to be for a year. TELUS then went to CRTC and asked for a 6-month extension, making the trial a total of 18 months. During that trial, they wanted to gather information. Obviously, it's a trial. As of January 15th, which is this coming Sunday, the trial will be discontinued. The funding came through TELUS deferral funding. During the trial, there were a number of different ideas that came forward. And obviously the primary goal was to improve access. Prior to establishing a bill, they wanted to do an assessment. So these are two components that they wanted to consider. The bill was supposed to be completed by February of 2012. Pardon me, that was an interpretation error. It was the Bell feasibility study, pardon me. To date, the CRTC has insufficient information to project the cost of providing VRS in Canada. So the CRTC has stated that it will assess whether to follow up proceeding on VRS is warranted in 2012. They haven't made a decision on whether or not they are going to proceed with establishing VRS. They prefer to gather the information, take that to CRTC, and then make an informed decision and comment on that basis. We have been working in collaboration with CRTC, and they have listened to our concerns and what our needs are. The biggest issue is funding. So the best way to garner support for funding is by contacting MPs from across the country. I see a question from the audience here. There's a comment from somebody in the audience saying that they can't hear the interpreter, so
technical problem for all the people who are hearing access sign language. For everybody else, there's no access problem. For the people who
is that better? Can people hear this better now? Testing 1, 2, 3. Get an indication from the audience that there's a small improvement. We want to ensure that everybody has equal access. That's one of our goals, is equal access for all. And so this is an indication of what it means to provide equal access. So video relay service is not just for deaf people, it's also for people who can hear. People think that this is a service provided only to the deaf community, but it's so deaf and hearing people can communicate with each other. So what our goal is to provide equal access for everyone across Canada. And as I mentioned, CRTC has been very open to listen to our concerns, our frustrations, and our goals. And the primary problem is funding. And so they said that we should contact our local MPs so that they are aware of the issue. So it's not one political group, so that all of the parties are aware of what this is, what is going on, and then it would become a law that would require video relay services to be implemented across Canada. And obviously this is not something that is going to happen immediately. However, this is something that we wish would have happened yesterday. We don't want this to be delayed any further. We look at something being implemented in 2015. We are without service for that amount of time. How would hearing people feel if we took all their cell phones away from them and said, oh, we need to gather information and do a feasibility study before you can have your cell phone back? This would be very analogous to what is happening in the deaf community with the discontinuation of video relay service. The interpreters, the operators who facilitate communication text-based on the TTY are not familiar with deaf culture, American Sign Language, the values of the deaf community, whereas video relay interpreters do have all of those skills. We have all of the cues that we need to provide a solution here. We have the interpreters, we have the technology, we have the desire. The one thing that is missing is the money. So we need to have this enacted in law before we can have it established.
Now Nigel has a short comment. Canada has the Canadian Charter of Human Rights. There's also the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities that has been recognized internationally. So within this context, if the service is cut, then what happens to our rights? The decisions, our Canadian youth, their future, what will that look like? To me, it's uncertain.